if you're starting with your computer science, or you are just a curious soul who wants to try experimenting with different operating systems such as Linux based operating system, which are Ubuntu, Debian, Fedora, Red Hat Linux, OpenSUSE, Kali. So there are different variants of Linux, and there are Windows based operating systems such as Windows XP, Vista, which are obsolete, Windows 7, 10. So these are different operating system, and as a computer science engineer, you would like to explore all of these, so that you know what are the differences between these, and you can pick the one which suits your needs. So for that, either you can install them one by one on your machine by installing one on your disk and then formatting it after you're done with that, or you can have different partitions on your machine and you can install those operating systems in those partitions, or you can simply use a virtualization software such as VirtualBox, which lets you create virtual images of operating systems, and you can run even parallelly these operating systems. So you can have 10 different operating systems inside different machines, which are the virtual machines inside your VirtualBox system. So that is like pretty easy to do, and even if you will, there happens to be some virus or anything inside the operating system, it won't affect your main host system. So that is the best thing, because you are experimenting and you can run different commands which can actually destroy your operating system in a way that the system files gets messy or some things like that. So your host machine stays unaffected, and that is something which you would like to have. So first of all, you have to go to virtualbox.org and go to the download section. From there you will see this these different options, and you can just click on the platform you're using. So I'm using OS X, so I will click on it, while you can explore different Linux distribution as well if you're using Ubuntu, Debian, OpenSUSE, Fedora. So just go back and we will download this OS X file. So this DMG file is being installed. It is similar to what we have in Windows, which is exe file. Basically it's an installer which will run, execute, and the software will be installed on your machine. So once the installer has downloaded it, you can just run it, and it will take a few minutes to install it. So now currently it is loading. So after you have downloaded and you have run this installer, you will see this file called virtualbox.pkg. Double click on it. So this is basically our installer, and it will take a few minutes to install. So just click on it, continue, install. You can just give the permission, and it's almost done. Yep, so the VirtualBox has installed on our machine. Now we can just move this to trash, and we can now just run VirtualBox. This is how the VirtualBox looks like, and now we will create a new machine, which is a virtual machine within the VirtualBox. So click on it and choose the operating system name or any name whatsoever you want, so that you can identify which operating system is installed in that particular machine. So once that is done, just click on continue and allocate the RAM. We are allocating about 3 gigs of RAM, and click on continue, and then create a new virtual hard disk now. So let's create it, and it will be a VDI type, and continue. So we have the option of choosing dynamically allocated, which basically means if you are selecting the disk space of 15 GB, it won't take the space upfront, but it will take or occupy the space as you go. So if you are currently occupying 6 GB in your virtual machine, then it will just take 6 GB space on your host hard disk. So if you're choosing fixed size, then it will take the disk space upfront. So whatsoever it is, 20 gigs, 15 gigs, whatsoever. So click on continue, and we are just choosing 10 gigs of hard disk for this particular machine. And yeah, so now we have the machine ready. So once the machine is ready, so it is like an empty container, and you will choose the virtual image or ISO file of the operating system. And once that is done, then the installer will install the operating system within that virtual machine, which is this one. So the operating system will be installed in it. Currently it is a blank box. So now that we have created the machine or the virtual machine, what you have to do is we have to provide it the source of the ISO file. So one way is to double click on this and then it will ask for the source file, but we missed that part. So we accidentally we just escaped that, and it has closed. Now if you will double click, it will show you a black screen where it will mention that the system is halted and it needs a bootable device or some disk, which now we will be locating. So if you will see, we have this scaled view just to see how it looks like. So as you can see, it is saying no bootable medium found, system halted. So that is only when you escape that installation process, when you have just created the virtual machine. So now you just have to open it by double clicking and go to devices, and there you will see multiple options. So go to optical drives and then choose a disk file and locate that particular ISO image. So once you have selected the ISO image, just power off the machine and double click on the virtual machine again, and now this time it will load the ISO file. And always ensure that you have chosen the scaled mode. So for now it is showing us slightly smaller screen, but whensoever we will be done with installation of this guest additions CD image, we will see the full size or full screen virtual machine. So that is how it is done. So it's not a big deal, it's just that you should know why the small screen is being shown to you and how it will become a big screen or a full size screen or high resolution screen. So it just needs this guest additions CD image. So you must know these intricacies. If you know it, using the VirtualBox will become very easy. So now the installation process has begun. We will see the first screen of how the installer will look like. Now just select install Ubuntu. So we just want to install the Ubuntu. We don't want to try Ubuntu because we have already known that it is one of the best operating systems for beginners. So here we will see the keyboard layout. We are okay with the English US. So continue. And yeah, we want the normal installation. So just continue. So now just select the first option, which is erase disk and install Ubuntu. So in this case, we just want to install Ubuntu without worrying too much about the intricacies of the installation process. So we will just keep on continuing without any much thought, because Ubuntu has made it really easy to install the operating system, so you don't have to think too much. But once you are familiar with how the operating system works, you can just see what are the different settings of Ubuntu installation process, so that you know what you're actually doing. So here you just have to enter the name of yours. So it can be, let's say, being skilled, and then it will say computer name, which is being skilled VirtualBox, which can be anything which you want, and the username can be anything which you want, and then the password. So once you're done with that, just click on continue, and now it will just be copying the files, and the installation process will be carried on for few minutes depending on how fast your machine. This cat looks nice. So we have skipped a few downloading of the files because the system is running out of the disk space, but those things can be installed later. So for now we are just waiting for the Ubuntu installer to configure a few system settings. So once that is done, we'll be able to use the operating system right away. So it is gonna take a few seconds more, and then we will be done with the installation process, and then we'll be presented with the first screen of the Ubuntu 20. So super excited about that. And finally we are done with the installation process. So it says that the installation is complete. You need to restart the machine in order to use the new installation. So restart now. Just close this and turn off the machine, and we will restart the machine by just doing the old school work. So we can just double click on it, and this time it should load the operating system. So once you're done with the installation process, you just have to double click on the virtual machine and go to devices, and now you have to deselect the optical drive. So just click on remove disk from virtual drive, and we are just force unmounting it, so that when we will restart, it will load the operating system and not the installer. So just double click on that. We can just double click on the virtual machine, and it will load the operating system. So when you will click on that, you will be shown this screen. So we'll go to the scale mode first, so that we can see things clearly. And here we have the option of opening Ubuntu. So click on it or press enter, and the Ubuntu will start loading. So now this is the login screen. So just enter your credentials, and once you're done with that, the first screen or first load screen of the Ubuntu will appear. So here we are, we have this first screen of Ubuntu, and we can just skip all of this part and click on done. So this is the load screen. Now the goal is to get into the full screen mode, and for that we have to install the guest additions CD image. So click on that, and yeah, install this. So run this particular software, and it will ask for the password. So enter the credentials. We can see it is installing the modules. So it seems that the installation has completed, so we can just restart the machine. So just go to logout and power off. We can just power it off. And now double click on the virtual machine again. So now we can see that Ubuntu's high resolution full screen display or instance is now running. So this is exactly what we wanted, and this has happened because we have installed the guest additions CD image. So once you're done with the installation process, you can just restart your machine, and it will appear in that full screen high resolution mode. So you just have to go to full screen mode, and this is how it will appear. So this is how we install operating systems using VirtualBox VM.
Thanks so much for watching this tutorial. If you liked it, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and if you didn't, then leave a comment so that we can improve it further. Do watch these suggested tutorials to learn even more, and do let us know what you want to learn on Being Skilled.